our instructions for work together 12-1. The information from the employee time cards is provided. Your instructor will guide you through the following example. For each employee, calculate the amount of regular, overtime, and total earnings. It does say that overtime earnings are paid at 1.5 times the regular rate. And one of my best examples of overtime earnings is we talked about people that earn more than 40 hours in a week. We've talked about people that get overtime if they work more than 8 hours in a day. Does anyone know somebody that works at Fleet Farm? Do they like to work on Sundays?
Yeah.
Why? They get time and a half for working on Sundays. Now think about it. Have you ever shopped in Fleet Farm? When are they busy? On the weekends. Would you agree? A lot of people go shopping on the weekends. And they have a lot of full-time employees that don't want to work on the weekends because they want to have that time off. So that business knows it's harder for them to fill their positions on the weekends and still being able to staff for what they need. So they offer incentive to employees. If you work on Sundays, they will pay you time and a half. So a lot of people will do that because that's a great way to earn extra money. Okay, so when we take a look at this assignment right here, we have employee number 1 has 40 hours of regular earnings and 5 hours of overtime earnings. So we have to calculate their regular earnings. To calculate their regular earnings, I'm going to take $9 and I'm going to multiply that by 40. So employee number 1's regular earnings is going to be $360. Now, to calculate your overtime earnings, just to make sure you can see this, I'm putting the calculator up here. The first thing we have to do is calculate your overtime rate. Your overtime rate is going to be $9 times 1.5. So employee number 1 earns $13.50 an hour. And how many hours did they work for overtime? 5. So $67.50. To calculate your total earnings, you would take $67.50 plus $360, and that would give you $427.50. The trickiest part about this first one is making sure that you calculate your overtime rate. So employee number 2 has 40 regular hours. You're going to multiply that by $12.50, and that gives me $500 for regular earnings. When I go through and calculate the overtime rate for employee number 2, I'm going to take $12.50, multiply that by 1.5, gives me $18.75 per hour, and multiply that by the 3 hours of overtime. And that will give me $56.25. I take $56.25 and I add to that $500, gives me $556.25. Employee number 3, you will notice, only worked 30 hours. Did not work a full 40-hour week, so I'm going to take 30 times $9.75. That will give me $292.50. Overtime, do we have to put a 0 in? Okay. Do you see how it's easy in going through and calculating your math to do something incorrect on these? Okay. I am going to... So application 12-1, again, looks a lot different. 81 points, it's a big one. So when I look at application 12-1, what physically is this? It's time cards. Instead of them telling us how many regular and overtime hours they have worked, we have to calculate it. So when I'm going to look at employee number 14, Marie Kearns, I have to look on this first morning. She clocked in at 7:59 to 12:01. 7:59 will round to what? Yes, Evan. 8 o'clock, right? And then 12:01 is going to round to 12. So I'm going to go from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we worked 4 hours in the morning. And then in the afternoon, clocked in at 12:56. I'm going to round that to 1 o'clock and clocked out at 5:01, and I'm going to round that to 5. So we're always going to round to the nearest quarter hour, okay? So how many hours did employee number 14 work in the afternoon? 8. So how many total hours did they work? Regular or overtime? Regular. So I'm going to put an 8 here. Please note right here, please leave cell blank to indicate 0 hours. So do not put a 0 here for overtime. Yes, Evan. I think it's just the way it's appearing. Okay, so now we'll do the same thing for the second day for Marie. 7:57 to 12:02 will round to 4 hours. 12:57 to 5:02 will, again, it'll give me 8 hours. Now, day number 3, I have 7:56 to 12:01, and then I have 12:58 to 5:04. I'll round that. That'll be 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon. It gives me regular hours of 8. But notice here, in the afternoon, in the evening, they worked more overtime. How many hours of overtime? 1. So I would put a 1 right here. What you will do is you will continue to calculate all of this for employee 14 or Marie, and then you would go through and you would add up the regular hours, and the total regular hours would go right here. Do you see that? Then you would go through and calculate the overtimes. Do not assume it's 8 hours. That's a great way to get things wrong. Okay? Add up your total overtime hours. You'll go here. Notice they don't give you your overtime rate. How do I calculate that? So I'm going to take their regular rate of 1180, and I'm going to multiply that by 1.5. So Marie's overtime rate is $17.70. So I would take the number of hours listed here, multiply by the rate, would give me the amount. Overtime, total overtime hours by the rate would give me the amount. Right here is going to give me the total amount of hours, and here is going to give me my total earnings. If you miscalculate your regular hours, it'll be wrong here, 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 and here. Slow down. Do you see how that triple affects? If you put 8 here and they didn't really work 8, it's going to throw off the regular hours, which will throw off your regular earnings, which will throw off your total hours, which will throw off your total earnings. Slow down and count them correctly.